Here's the thing about transformational advocacy. We are acknowledging that we too need to change, that we need the conviction of the Holy Spirit in our lives to address our own issues and the things that we struggle with. When we get involved with activism, when we decide to tackle structural injustice, we can find ourselves so engaged in this great work that we forget that there's a personal call to the way that we're supposed to live. That in fact, God calls us to be generous. God calls us to be generous with our resources. He calls us to be generous in our everyday life. It's really easy to compartmentalize our lives, to separate the being from the doing. But we have to realize that that is not an authentic way of living, that doesn't resonate, that doesn't ring true. What God's called us to do is to live justly through our generosity. Sometimes generosity is about money. And I know this can be hard. This is something that I struggle with too. We may not have idols the way that Israel created images to worship, but we can put a lot of our trust and our faith and our time and our energy into money. I find myself at times attached to the resources that I create, attached to money. And the question that I have to ask myself is, am I willing to give until it hurts? Am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to give? Living justly requires sacrifice. Sometimes we have to give up in order to give more. We should consider what other things we have that we can give. Our time, our talents, our hospitality. We are called to be generous with our entire lives at any moment. Often when I'm confronted with an opportunity to be generous and I feel myself torn in two different directions, I go back to the generosity of Christ, who gave himself up, who laid his life down. And I consider that generosity, and I remember that my life is supposed to reflect that generosity. Everything that we have, even the ability to be generous, comes from God.